Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar on converting more talent with positive reviews and automation. My name is Alex. I'm on the marketing team here at Bullhorn, and I wanted to cover a quick couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Today's webinar will be recorded, and you'll receive a copy of the recording within the next 24 hours. All attendees will be muted for today's presentation, but we strongly encourage you to ask questions in the Q&A panel on the bottom of your screen. We'll get to as many questions as possible before the end of the session. We should wrap up in about 45 minutes. And with that, I'd like to welcome today's presenters, Chris Dews and Adam Conrad.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Dews. I'm the Sales and Strategy Director of HereFish by Bullhorn. We're joined today by a very special guest, and this is Adam Conrad. So I'm going to kick it over to him to introduce himself. And Adam, if you could, give us a little background about yourself in the staffing world and why you started Great Recruiters. I think you're on mute there, Adam. I don't know if I can hear you.
Yep. Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate you having me on here today. Adam Conrad, founder of Great Recruiters. A little bit of background on myself. I had been in the staffing industry for about 20 years. As probably many people on the phone, I fell into recruiting and quickly fell in love with it. And I had roles as a recruiter, had managed recruitment teams, as well as was running operations for a mid-sized staffing firm prior to starting Great Recruiters. And pretty exciting for me, Chris. Excited to know that we were the second customer of HereFish. So definitely know Bullhorn. I know HereFish, and just really excited here today to be able to talk with you about how our products are coming together today.
Awesome. Give us a little background about why you started Great Recruiters. What was the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you Google recruiters are, I always go back to that as my why. There's a poor reputation in our industry, and recruiters have a bad rap. And from my own experience and the people I worked with and people I know in the industry, there's a lot of great recruiters and staffing firms out there, but unfortunately, they get swallowed up sometimes by the industry's poor reputation. And I wanted to really help firms be able to create more trust and transparency up front through capturing real-time reviews and testimonials. So Great Recruiters was born to help really empower recruiters, put them in the front of your brand, and help you leverage those reviews to attract more talent.
That's fantastic, Adam. I think that resonates with everybody. And just kind of set a quick housekeeping as well. We're not gonna show our videos this whole entire time. We don't want to necessarily distract you through everything, but to Adam's points that he just brought up, we're going to jump into a quick agenda, and then we're going to talk about how we can use those positive reviews and what Great Recruiters is doing and how HereFish can help make sure we're getting those in front of our talent and make sure we're getting that in front of our clients. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my video, and I'm going to go ahead and just click into our next item here. So in the next 40 minutes, we're going to talk about those challenges facing recruiting and sales teams today. We will give you a background about what Great Recruiters is. I think it's a good level set for those who don't know who Great Recruiters is, to give you an idea of what they're doing. For those that are on this call who don't know HereFish, we will go over a high-level overview of what HereFish is. And then we're going to jump into the power of automation and how user-generated content and reviews, how we can use that to really accelerate our recruiting process and our sales process.
Yeah, and I think as we talk about the challenges here, there's two big challenges that I always hear. One centered around recruiting, and I always hear that finding talent is the biggest issue that firms have, and really I disagree. There's tons and tons of candidates out there. There's so many tools and resources that recruiters can use to source candidates. The challenge is getting those candidates to want to call you back. And on the flip side, from a sales perspective, it's really difficult in today's competitive marketplace to really differentiate your firm. And I think what we're going to really focus on today is how you can leverage those positive reviews, testimonials, user-generated content to really create a differentiation for your firm and win more business faster.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adam. So let's jump in and get a quick background about who Great Recruiters is and what you're doing in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. So Great Recruiters is an experience.
Adam, before you start there, the volume's quite low. Is there any way you can get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah, definitely. Is that better for you?
Much better, thanks.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So Great Recruiters is an experience and reputation management platform. It was built for staffing firms and recruiters. And essentially we make it really simple to capture, act on, measure, and promote real-time reviews from those that you serve. And so if you think about where we are as a society, there is this undeniable shift, and the power of reviews are out there. And unfortunately, many of the review sites that exist today aren't really servicing staffing firms. It's more what it's like to work inside an organization, not to work with a recruiting firm. But, you know, people are reading these reviews, and, you know, we see the data, 91% of people read reviews and 84% trust their reviews as much as a friend's recommendation. And so what we look at, if you jump to the next slide here, Chris, is this old way is a very passive way of approaching this. You know, most of the people that are providing the reviews on these third-party sites are people who had a bad experience. Just think of your own experiences. You know, when you have a bad experience, you're much more likely to want to share that, to vent that, to get that off your chest, compared to only 10% of people are willing to provide a positive review unless they're asked. And I think that's really where Great Recruiters comes in to help out. And so with Great Recruiters, we give you the tools to be able to actively capture real-time feedback. And 80% of the reviews that we have coming through Great Recruiters are positive. And there's a lot of great stories that candidates want to share about their experiences with your firm, with your recruiters. But if you're not asking, you're missing out on all that wonderful information. And our reviews come back with about 65% of them, including additional insight, as well as those testimonials. And then a little icing on the cake, our review process helps you capture referrals throughout that. And so really, when you look at Great Recruiters, how we're helping recruiting teams, we're helping marketers, we're helping sales teams and leadership. We're helping you stay connected in this remote workforce through the real-time feedback. You're able to kind of understand that your recruiters are always continuing to put their best foot forward. We help you to pinpoint areas of improvement. There's 5 key areas that we drill into on every recruiter. Are they genuine, responsive, experienced? Are they advisors? Are they transparent? And we really give you a spotlight to understand where recruiters might need a little extra love and attention. And through our review notifications, you can easily acknowledge those top performers beyond just when they make placements. There's a lot of hard work that goes into recruiting, and we want you to be able to empower your recruiting teams and acknowledge them for the great work that they're doing when they're driving your brand well in the marketplace. And on the flip side, we want you to help resolve issues fast. You know, we don't want you to wait till the end of the year survey to find out that there was an issue that came up 6 months ago. We want to give you the ability to be able to resolve issues before they become problems. And ultimately, through the promotion and the marketing side of our platform, we want you to help overall improve your online reputation on your website, across social, as well as on those page 1 Google results. And ultimately, all of that comes back to helping you attract more talent and winning more business. So how does that work? So with Bullhorn, Great Recruiters is integrated into Bullhorn, and we can automate that review request directly from Bullhorn. There's no added work for the recruiters. You know, if they have enough on their plate, we don't want to add any extra work. So we essentially piggyback your current processes and workflows where you can trigger these review requests off either note actions or the submission process, as well as those placements. And getting feedback is kind of the first step. You need to be able to take action on it. And so once a review is provided, your managers as well as recruiters receive an instant notification emailed directly to them. Okay, lets you know who provided the review, what the rating was. You can jump into Great Recruiters to read the full review. You get the comments and the testimonials, as well as any referrals that are provided to you through that review process. And then we have one-click, you know, simple shares where you can easily share that testimonial. And really those instant notifications are there so you can resolve those issues fast, you know, acknowledge and celebrate those positive reviews. And then all of this data is brought into a main dashboard. And so we have this distinction where we celebrate recruiters, they become GR certified. So if they receive over 30 reviews, 4 stars and above, they receive a GR certified distinction. You can capture response rate, all the reviews sent, any of the referrals. You have your real-time NPS score. You can measure your reviews and ratings across your aggregate score as well as across those 5 traits. We provide you that comparative analytics of how you compare to other firms that are using Great Recruiters. And then as well, we have a leaderboard where we're able to stack rank your recruiters based on their number of reviews and overall ratings. And let's face it, recruiters are extremely competitive. And what a great thing to be competitive about. It's all about driving a great experience, engaging with the candidates out there, and putting your brand out there in a very positive light.
Yeah, I think it's an important part to kind of focus on too, gamifying this, right? When you're sitting next to somebody in that competitive arena, loving the fact that you're able to deliver somebody, get somebody placed, and seeing that tick up a little bit from the rating side is really awesome, and a great feature you guys have.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. And then ultimately, I think where we really differentiate what we do with the feedback is you need to be able to promote this information. There's enough negativity out there on staffing firms, on recruiters. And so we provide you with all these different digital assets that you can be used. And it's going to be the center of our conversation today, how you can leverage this information to really nurture your candidates, find out who loves you in your candidate outreach, as far as getting them to want to engage with your emails and your content, and as well as these wonderful profile pages, both for your company and your recruiters. So we have these testimonial cards that can easily be shared through social, through LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. You can embed reviews and testimonials directly on your website. And so many websites have testimonials on them, but it's manufactured content. There's no link back to an originating source. So we link all of this testimonial data on your website back to your company profile page or recruiter profile pages. We have these review widgets that can really follow the prospects across your website. We want to keep this positive data in front of them. And what's great to see is these company profile pages, when somebody's Googling our clients, you can go ahead and Google Astute Technical, and you'll see kind of the story that's being told in that page one of Google. The page is indexed extremely high up there. It's being acknowledged by Google My Business as other reviews from the web. And we also have these recruiter profile pages, which talk a little bit more about how we can use these within HereFish to engage that talent.
Fantastic. I just want everyone to kind of take a step back, and, Adam's put a lot into great recruiters. And, this is kind of really in the beginning of this in our industry. With Adam's background in both staffing, in HereFish and Bullhorn, and now what he's doing with great recruiters, he's a fantastic resource in this industry. So please feel free, as after this, that you can reach out to Adam, kind of talk through things with him. I've learned quite a bit from working with Adam over the few years, and I think it really shows in the product that he built, that he understands staffing, he gets it, and he's over here to really overcome an issue that we all face on a daily basis. We're going to quickly hit a background about HereFish for those who don't know, and then we're going to jump into some joint use cases around user-generated content and how to utilize that in a candidate and client environment. So, quickly hitting, what is HereFish? So HereFish helps staffing firms automate processes and engagement throughout the entire recruiting lifecycle. All right, so if we look at this screen here, we're basically highlighting where we can automate, and it's really through the entire recruitment lifecycle. So whether we're talking from a pre-hire standpoint, post-hire standpoint, sales cycle, or account management, our goal is to make sure that we apply our automation so that communication happens at the right time. So we're engaging our candidates and clients and making sure when communication needs to happen, it's not falling through the cracks. Step two is driving productivity to our recruiters and sales reps in different teams internally. So making sure we're driving tasks or notification around key events, ensuring that things are happening so that we can make sure that our candidate and client experiences are great experiences. The last bit there is data automations. Data health is really important in this industry. We want to make sure we're tying together all of our external, internal engagement with data health and data integrity. So ensuring statuses represent the correct stage of recruiting or sales cycle, ensuring that we're able to run candidate refresh automations. We're asking for updated resumes. We're asking for data availability, salary considerations, capturing all that information and getting it into the ATS that then we can make our decisions against. That's where HereFish is going to come in and really help your business as a whole. I would state this: our number one goal is to save you time. All right. And if we're able to save you time, your recruiters and sales reps time, they're going to be able to devote that back into an experience for a client and candidate. If they're able to devote that experience back to our clients and candidates, and make sure that experience is a good one, you will see an increase in a lot of those different ratings and that different feedback and those testimonials. And it's really helpful when you have someone like Great Recruiters who's able to capture that information and we're able to act on it. So with that in mind, we're going to really focus on how we can use that information in a pre-hire setting, how we can use that information in a sales cycle, whether it's a new lead or trying to upsell a current customer. That's where our real focus is going to be. And that's really getting back to the challenges facing recruitment that we called out at the beginning of this webinar. You know, there's plenty of talent out there, but not a lot of callbacks. How do we use automation and Great Recruiters to change that? Step two, how can we win new clients in a really super competitive market? We were in such a candidate-driven market for so many years, and then COVID happened. And we've seen quite a bit of sales content being published through Herefish and the need for sales automations. So we're going to talk about how Herefish and Great Recruiters can solve both of those needs, both getting callbacks and making sure that we're out there winning new logos. Great. All right. So let's first talk about the power of user-generated content and reviews. So UGC and positive reviews will highly impact purchasing decisions. So prior to buying anything, I think last time I looked at the number, it was 80% of customers will check reviews to confirm their purchasing decision. So it's extremely important for you to have a mechanism to make sure you're capturing those positive reviews. That's step one. It's also important to ensure you capture the positive feedback and get it in the hands of new leads quickly. So making sure that you're using this content and getting it in front of your leads or your prospects quickly. By doing this, it will speed up the time it takes someone to make a decision, whether that is a candidate or a client. Think about your own experiences, right? When I'm looking for a new restaurant to order out or to go to, the majority of the time I'm reading the review beforehand, right? I'm looking to see what type of reviews they're having. Not only am I reading that review, I'm looking at it from a dynamic content. Like, when was the last review that was given, positive or negative review given? So at the end of the day, think about user-generated content and staffing the same way that you use it every day when you're making your own decisions. Staffing is a people-first business, and user-generated content humanizes our content. There's no better way to bring some humanity to our content than through user-generated content. So providing real-life testimonials, we all know that those are super powerful. It's also some of the most trusted content that you could use. So if you're able to capture that through Great Recruiters and utilize that in some sort of fashion, which we'll talk about here when we get into our candidate engagement and client marketing, you're going to be using the most trusted form of content that is out there. And like I said earlier, this will help speed up that decision-making process, whether they're going to be using your service or whether they're going to work for your staffing firm. So UGC also improves site engagement and time spent on the website. All right. Because of the trust that we're building through this content, you will see a significant increase in engagement with your company. Herefish gives you the capability to track a lot of this engagement. And what we've seen, when you get to use user-generated content and use Herefish in a place, you will see a 73% increase in click-through rate when compared to other more traditional content or means of social sharing. So, the proof's in the pudding there. You'll be able to use UGC to improve that site engagement. You'll also be able to track it via Herefish, so you can ensure that you can make the tweaks that are needed or take what's working maybe in one business sector and move it into the next business. And before I move on, Adam, do you have anything else to add around UGC?
No, I think the biggest thing is just you think about, as you mentioned, Chris, your own personal buying decisions. I mean, it's everywhere. There's a reason why I've read reports, by 2021, over 50% of the marketing material is going to be in the form of user-generated content and reviews. It's because it works. And I think in an industry that has typically hidden behind a veil for very long and has kind of lacked transparency, I know through just the review data we get, I know through conversations with the recruiters and candidates and sales prospects, that when they get this type of content, it's refreshing. It's a huge differentiator because many times it's just somebody pushing a job. It seems very transactional. And I think when, especially that we've reached this kind of remote workforce that many firms are still, working through, you need a way to humanize it. You need a way to continue to create that connection. And what a better way than through, I can tell anybody how great we are, but when somebody else is doing it for you, that's just really powerful in helping me make those decisions. So I think you hit on some really good points here, Chris.
Fantastic. So let's get into how we use that in a candidate engagement. So how do we engage your candidate talent pool with real life testimonials, right? Well, we can do that through automation. So we're going to first create a competitive advantage that is unique to you. HereFish automation, HereFish enables customers to efficiently, market relevant jobs to our candidates. So through our semantic tool, we can pull relevant jobs and make sure we're sending those to our job seekers. When you couple that type of engagement with real life testimonials, as you can see here, we have an example here of a HereFish email that's going out. And we've included one of our links here from Great Recruiters that has our testimonials. It drives a more compelling story about your company, but it also builds trust specifically within that candidate. So the candidate can see, hey, these are the jobs that are relevant to me. And here are candidates that are similar to me that had a positive experience, right? So it really allows us to convert some of those job seekers that might be receiving a bunch of different emails with a bunch of different jobs. The two easy ways that we do that is make sure the jobs are actually relevant and then back that up with a compelling story with those real testimonials. You will see an increase of click-throughs like we talked about earlier. You will see an increase in engagement by handling that. So the next bit there, Great Recruiters does a great job identifying talent that loves your brand, all right? And then they tag that talent in Bullhorn. So we can use HereFish and Great Recruiters to capture that, load that into Bullhorn, right? But then we can segment our audience so we can focus in on those different talent pools that already love the brand. So allows us to segment, pull those candidates into a nurturing campaign, and we can drive automation to make sure your brand keeps top of mind. It's really, really important on top talent automations, right? A lot of times you're relying maybe on a recruiter or maybe a care rep to tag that profile. It's not happening every time. Great Recruiters can tag that for us on a regular basis. HereFish can then put them down that top talent nurturing campaign, which is really important. By using positive testimonials, you will increase your callback from new candidates. We actually saw through one of our customers that they saw an increase of 25% in callbacks from new candidates using HereFish and Great Recruiters to market jobs and including those testimonials. Another bit that we kind of have here as well, I didn't necessarily cover it just yet, but with every single email that we send out, right? Every single email that we send out, we will be able to include our Great Recruiters. We'll be able to include our Great Recruiters sign up or Great Recruiters give us a review in the signature. So we send a lot of emails on behalf of recruiters, a lot of sales reps. They'll be able to basically market out the review set on a regular basis. And it will be included in all those emails out. And Adam, did you have anything else to add around how we're going to do this with Great Recruiters?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think of my first experience when you guys first launched years ago, and the emails were all centered around. They were coming from the staffing firm voice, and I think one of the biggest changes you guys made, and I really wanted to use this product to drive messaging down to the individual recruiter level. And if you think about it, candidates don't work with staffing firms. They're not reaching out to staffing firms. You don't hear a candidate say, I'm looking for a great staffing firm. They say, I'm looking for a recruiter. I need a recruiter to help me. And so really, we want to take this information down to that recruiter level. We want to be able to identify the recruiters that are doing great, capture that information, put it into those profiles, and leverage that information, through these HereFish campaigns. So we do recruiter spotlights where each week we spotlight a recruiter on our platform that's doing a great job and talking to them. And, as they began sharing out that simple little thing, check out what people think about working with me, the feedback we've had is been very consistent. And somebody said even candidates are actually saying, the only reason I called you back, I wasn't even in the market, but I called you back because of your reviews. And so once again, it just goes back to the power of those reviews and the way that it's helping people make decisions. And it's such a unique differentiator that we don't see. So it's having a huge impact. Love seeing the callbacks. You can only consider the more people that call you back, the better opportunity you have of that talent pool that you're putting in front of your customers. And there was one question on here that you had mentioned, Great Recruiters does a great job of finding people who identify and love your brand. And the question was how? And so it's through that review process. So let's say you're asking everybody that you submitted or everybody you placed or everybody you interviewed for real-time feedback on that recruiter. Through our review process, we bring that review back. It's not necessarily about the brand, it's about the recruiter, but the recruiter is an extension of your brand. When a recruiter does a great job, the feedback is that recruiter's awesome. When the recruiter doesn't do a great job, they say that brand stinks. And so really, we want to use this information and review data to really highlight your recruiters as a strong marketing tool for the organization and themselves.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to kind of piggyback off the how too, you can sign up for a great demo and Adam and team will show you how that data is loaded back in and then how we use it in HereFish as well. So, when we talk about it in the terms of Bullhorn, it could be really powerful and help us into segmenting those different candidates. So awesome. Thanks so much.
Yep.
So let's get into the client side, right? So utilizing positive reviews to increase that top line. So we want to make sure that we prove your quality of service during the sales stage. This is actually pretty difficult to do in some regards. Transparency is a great way to prove your quality of service during the sales process. Allowing prospects to see, reviews from similar businesses or targeted candidates that they would like to work with will increase that trust in the brand. And we talked about that earlier, increasing that trust. From a HereFish standpoint, we can make sure that we drive tasks or notes with talk tracks to ensure our sales reps are using this, whether they're talking to a business. We can also pull this into email marketing campaigns as well. But the real benefit of it is getting into what Great Recruiters does. Is first we need to capture it, and then we need to drive process to our recruiters and sales reps and ensure they're using it. Adam was alluding to it earlier. We want to turn your recruiters into a sales tool. By providing this transparency, you're taking all that hard work that goes around the whole recruiting life cycle, especially when a great recruiter is working extremely hard, devoting time into the candidate experience that maybe yields a placement. The great news is if we can capture that, we can now use that to win new business, whether we're going to add it into a marketing campaign, whether we're going to add it to our website, or whether we're going to add it to our talk track. HereFish could use that data to make sure that we help promote the best reviews that we're gathering through Great Recruiters and make sure that they're getting sent to the right prospect at that right time. And then let your reviews and testimonials tell a story. Outside of providing or proving your quality, it could be hard to set yourself apart from your competitors, especially when trying to win new business. Great Recruiters allows you to capture what really makes you different, right? And then you could use that to tell your story to then set yourself apart. All right, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but a recent study on Stackla saw that UGC will impact purchasing decisions. All right, you can see the fact that UGC will impact purchasing decisions by up to 79%. It's because it's trusted. User-generated content gives transparency and builds trust. And not only will build trust with your clients and candidates, but it'll build trust with your brand across the industry. So before we move on, Adam, did you have anything else to add from the client marketing side?
Yeah, I mean, a couple stories. I mean, one experience I had, and it's always stuck with me, is I was on a sales call, and I think the biggest challenge that staffing firms have is really being able to differentiate themselves. You read your website, you read a competitor's website. Many of the things are very similar. It's you telling people how great you are. And I went to a sales call and I'd given my business card and they said, well, tell me about you. And this was in our Dallas market. And, I told him all of this. He goes, that's great. And he opened his top drawer and he threw my business card on top of about another 100 business cards. And he goes, yep, that's the same story that we hear from these other people. And for me, it was just really eye-opening that we need ways to be able to differentiate your service. And I looked at it as our recruiters are our biggest asset out there, the biggest opportunity. And so being able to bring that transparency and light to the clients, being able to share, I think one, it tells your prospective clients you care about the quality of your services. Many people promise it, very few do something about it. And when you use a tool and you use great recruiters and it has that transparency, that public piece, it lets them know you're not afraid of that feedback. In fact, you embrace it and you want it because you know it's going to make you better, but it also differentiates you. And when you're able to highlight and bring to the table with you, hey, here are the 3 recruiters who are going to be working on your stuff. Here's what people think about them. We're an extension of our clients' brands. And I know if I'm a client on there, I want to make sure, and many people don't know, who's actually working on my stuff. So this is a great way to be able to share that information and bring it to your client. We've had some great stories from our clients that are using this in RFPs, using this information in their sales calls. And, it is definitely a differentiator. We had one client that did it, and the end client actually came back and said, we want to learn more about how we can use your services inside our organization, because they see that candidate experience is something everyone talks about. It's what everyone promises, but what are you really doing to ensure it? And through great recruiters, you can really put that proof that you stand behind all the things that you're saying about your company on your website. And it's really done through somebody else's voice, telling your prospects, how great they are and how great that experience is. So the power of the reviews and user-generated content, it's just huge, not just in staffing, but obviously everywhere in our daily lives.
Fantastic. And talking about that, let's actually pivot into a client testimonial.
I love this. And we love working with forward-thinking firms, right? Our industry remained unchanged for a very long time. And so, our industry is going to continue to evolve. You probably have never had so many different technologies put in front of you. And I really love people that are forward thinking and want to look at ways. And so as we look at like Matt Dickens here, they use Bullhorn, we use Great Recruiters, and we use Herefish. And I think this just is an example. You need to acknowledge that the world around you is changing and you have 2 choices: keep up or get off. And they're a firm believer that keep up or perhaps stay ahead is the phase right now. And so this is a huge opportunity to put you ahead of the crowd and really continue to driving your brand and the changes that we see in recruitment and the need for, more trust and transparency faster.
Fantastic. Yeah, Matt Dickens, an astute technical, really love them. Great referenceable customer and a great story between Bullhorn, Great Recruiters, and Herefish. So we're going to open this up for a Q&A. Adam and I are going to turn on our videos so you guys can see this, and feel free to fire away.
Great. Yeah, we definitely have some questions in here. Adam already answered one, but we have some others. Someone's wondering, how do recruiters respond to the stack ranking aspect with the data? Sales numbers are one thing, but the word stack ranking might get people nervous.
Yeah, I think the leaderboard, and we find a great response. Our clients are having a lot of fun with this. In fact, they're using this leaderboard as a way to really provide transparency in their own organization of what their great recruiters are doing out there. And so they're including this as part of their monthly, company celebration meetings. They're using this to be able to share through internal Facebook pages. They've really embraced it. In fact, I've talked to recruiters And, you know, when you hear you're going to get feedback on you, I think everybody's a little bit nervous at first. And what we're hearing from recruiters is they've embraced it. And what I love to hear is recruiters that get feedback that might be constructive, but they're able to pivot and make changes without coaching from management or anything. They're listening to their people that they're working with, and they're able to make those adjustments on the fly. So we see a lot of excitement around the leaderboards, and the way just management's using it to help promote good behaviors inside the organization and driving the brand, having great conversations. And so there is excitement definitely around it. And I think people want to see themselves at top, and they get excited about that when they get those reviews and they see themselves kind of moving up that leaderboard. And ultimately for the companies, if you have recruiters competing to create better experiences for your candidates and clients, it's only going to be a win-win-win.
Great, I think that's awesome. Another question we have here is someone was asking about what is the response rate? I think maybe just in general, you can talk about what response rates look like when you're using Great Recruiters or UCG.
Yeah. So the response rate that we receive on a review request, we have a system average of about 24%, and then that gets segmented out based on different verticals. Our Bullhorn customers, because of the automation and everything, we're seeing in the mid 30%. We have clients that are in the upper 40% response rate. And then when we get down to the individual recruiters, we have recruiters that have over a 50% response rate and over a 25% referral rate on those reviews. And those are the recruiters that are really taking this information and letting you know, hey, Chris, you know, at some point in this process, you might receive a request to provide me feedback. In fact, I want to make sure I'm doing a great job for you. So please take the time to provide that. And if there's anybody else I can help and you think that I've done a good job for you, love for it if you can provide a referral as well. So having that kind of talk track as part of your conversation is really setting the tone up front. And once again, I think puts your firm in a much different light than what candidates are used to hearing. So we see those response rates go up, and throughout this remote workforce, we've actually seen about a 10% response rate increase across the whole platform. So candidates are even more eager today to provide that feedback.
Yeah, that's actually a really great way of presenting it too, right? Bullhorn's API really allows you to zone in on the right time to send this out. Just to kind of plug Herefish there as well, if for whatever reason we were unable to get a review and we really wanted one, we can make sure we drive that process because we can monitor the fact whether Great Recruiters got its review or not. So we can drive additional process to have the recruiter reach out, or we can actually overtake maybe some of the emails or trigger an email to go out from Adam's service. So coupled with what we're seeing right now with Bullhorn and then actually applying Herefish, you will see an increase on that response rate. We see it with a lot of our correspondence going out.
Great. I guess so. Just to piggyback off of that, someone's asking, do you feel like the response rates are higher in any particular industry right now? And they name a couple: light industrial, administrative, professional, perm.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the nature of where we're at. My wife's a nurse, and you know, obviously the healthcare community has been it's been really you know, a fast charging industry. We've seen response rates in the healthcare industry over this last 6 months really jump up to the low 40% rate. So we do see response rates very high there, as well as in the IT and professional. On the commercial side, inherently we see a little bit lower response rate, but the volume of people that you're typically engaging with is much, much higher. So the amount of review data that comes in is still very substantial.
Great. Another question here is, what are the advantages of a standalone review platform like this as opposed to reviews left on Facebook or Google listings?
Yeah, so we actually do some pretty cool things around that. So the advantage of Great Recruiters is we're helping you to put you in control of that feedback. And through the automation and being able to make it really simple to collect that feedback, we're outperforming all the other review sites. We did an audit of our clients and we had 10 times more reviews than what they had on all of their review sites combined. And I think the nature of that and the reason it is one, we're giving the tools to ask for that feedback. Whereas on Facebook or Glassdoor or Google, sometimes, you know, you need to put a whole campaign around that. So what we've done is we actually have a piece, positive review thank you. So anyone who provides you a positive review, we can automate a follow-up email. And one of the popular use cases that clients have is they say, hey, thanks so much for providing me that positive review, Chris. Really appreciate it. Hey, would you just mind sharing that on our Google page? And we embed that link and it opens that Google page and they can simply cut and paste their comments. And so every client that's using that strategy has incrementally increased their positive reviews on other third-party sites.
Great. Another question here is sort of how do you integrate these two products? And maybe Chris, this one is for you, but use cases beyond putting the reviews on the website. Once the reviews are in HereFish, what can the automation do with it?
So how do we integrate the two? So first and foremost, through the signature, we're going to be able to make sure we link every single one of our reviews or review pages to our signature. So anything that we send on behalf of a recruiter or a sales rep, it includes the Great Recruiter profile on the signature. So that's step one. Step two is we can make sure that we are pulling in the unique link for each one of your reps into the system. We can do that through a merge tag that allows us to be done dynamic. So if we're going to be sending out jobs on behalf of our recruiters, for example, we can ensure that we have a dynamic link. So you don't necessarily have to build out a new link for every single one of these emails. You set up your campaign, you provide that dynamic link through a merge tag, and we'll be able to send out your testimonials. So those are two ways from an integration standpoint. From a reading, Bullhorn is our central point of truth. So when Great Recruiters writes back its score, writes back maybe something based off of a note type or whatever the case might be, we can then observe that has happened and then put down, let's say, a candidate or a client down a different path, whether it's driving tasks, like I said earlier, notifications, or even picking this up in some sort of nurturing campaign. So really the linchpin there is Bullhorn as a central point of truth, and then using dynamic merge tags to make sure we're sending these review and these different review sites out in the terms of the actual recruiter or sales rep.
And Chris, I'll add to that. I mean, I think one of the, definitely the job in sharing the user-generated content and all that is awesome. I mean, if you have the data, why wouldn't you want to share that with the people you're reaching out to? But I love the nurturing campaigns. As a recruiter, maybe you're managing only 50 people and you think of how many people that you talk to, how many people you forget about. And so through the review process and knowing somebody who had a great experience, don't let that experience stop at that moment. You probably only place maybe 5, maybe 10% of the people you engage with, but some of my biggest referral sources came from candidates I never placed. But it was people that I was able to nurture through that process and make sure that when they thought about a job or when their friend was looking for work, or maybe when they became a hiring manager, I wanted them to think about me and reach out to me. So those nurturing campaigns are really going to help your recruiters maintain those relationships. Timing is a lot of it too. So you talk to a great candidate, you might not have the job or maybe timing's not right. A lot of recruiters just forget about that. And I think the power of automation and what you guys have done, coupled with knowing that the recruiter, the candidate had a great experience, you can engage those nurturing campaigns to keep your company top of mind.
That's a great point.
Great. I think I'm cognizant of time here, and there's still some questions we haven't answered, but we'll certainly follow up with you after directly to get those questions answered. But I do want to show to the next slide where there's all the different ways you can reach out to us, many different ways that you can get in touch. And we'll also, as I mentioned at the beginning, follow up in the next 24 hours with the recording from this session. So you'll be hearing from us soon. Thank you so much to both Adam and Chris, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.